So, time for today's message. My name is Carol Grafford. I am so happy to be the service leader today. I always feel very welcome here, and I hope that everyone here is feeling welcome also. The title of my talk today is The Four Basic Elements of True Love. So, kindness, compassion, shared joy, and inclusiveness. According to Zen Master Thich Nhat, these four qualities are the four basic elements of true love. These are qualities that we can understand, we can cultivate, nurture, and grow. Now, I just want to clarify, my message today is not about true love. It's about true love. And I'd like to begin with a story from the Buddhist sutras. During the Buddha's lifetime, those of the Brahmanic faith prayed that after death, they would go to heaven to dwell eternally with Brahma, the universal God. One day, a Brahmin man asked the Buddha, "What can I do to be sure that I will be with Brahma after I die?" And the Buddha replied, as Brahma is the source of love, capital L, love, to dwell with him, you must practice the Brahma Viharas, the Brahma abodes of loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So we can translate Brahma in this way as divine, and a Vihara means an abode or a dwelling place. So the Brahma Viharas, the divine abodes. Now, according to Thich Nhat, the four Brahma Viharas are the abodes of true love. This address, he says, is much greater than a 4-star hotel. It is a 1,000-star dwelling. The four Brahma Viharas are called immeasurable because if you practice them, they will grow in you every day until they embrace the whole world. You will become happier, and everyone around you will become happier also. If you learn to practice these four abodes, you will know how to heal the illnesses of anger, sorrow, insecurity, sadness, hatred, loneliness, and unhealthy attachments. And that's a quote out of Thich Nhat Hanh's book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching, all that stuff. So if you could heal all those illnesses with these Brahma Viharas, that I think would be truly liberating love. So I'd like to share some of the nuances of the Pali terms for these qualities. The Pali terms are metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. And we can consider how to practice them and apply them in daily life. So the first quality in Pali is metta, and in Sanskrit it's maitri. And if we look to the root word, it means friend or friendship or friendliness. And when the first English-speaking translators went to translate these sutras, they didn't use the word friend at all in their translation. They chose to use the term loving kindness as they were trying to capture what the spirit of the word would mean in our own language. And I found it almost a little funny. Thich Nhat Hanh prefers the word love over loving kindness. He says that words can become sick. The word love has become sick. We use it instead of an attachment, like, I love hamburgers. Like, that's not what this metta is supposed to be all about. He says we should heal the words in our language and nurture the unconditional love that's within each of us when we use the word love. And that's why he likes the word love. He's trying to use it in this way. So I've done a lot of reading and thinking and contemplating about these four qualities over the last, 15 or 20 years maybe. And the word that I personally prefer is kindness. I think in a lot of ways, kindness in our language is harder to practice than the word love. It's really easy to say the word love, you know? Like, I love my husband, really. But am I kind to him? Ooh, not always. And so these are practices, these qualities we practice. So I have chosen kindness. Also, when my oldest grandson was very little, from the time he could talk, maybe before the time he could talk, until at least 6 or 7, he had this glow. Like everybody felt it, and I really felt it. And I was working with these qualities on my sitting cushion, and I tried to, what is it? How do you name that he exudes? And it wasn't compassion, and that just wasn't right. And I came up with, oh, he's so kind and so giving and so caring. And they came in the order that were important to me. So to me, this kindness is a very deep practice and very meaningful to me. So since I'm talking today, I get to pick. I picked the word kindness as the way to practice metta. So our second Pali term is karuna. It's karuna whether you're in English or in Pali or Sanskrit. And the translation that has been given to us is compassion. Oh, if you look at the root word for compassion, calm, together with, passion, suffering, the original, I guess. I'm not a real expert on that. At any rate, Thich Nhat interprets this as, that's not exactly correct. We don't need to actually suffer when we offer compassion to someone. It can be like a doctor who doesn't have to have the illness to help alleviate an illness. So something like that. That compassion is the intention and capacity to relieve suffering, to be with suffering and not be overwhelmed by it. And the lovely story that Thich Nhat Hanh says, when he was a novice, he could not understand why the Buddha, the statues, the pictures, always he's smiling, a little smile. How can the Buddha be smiling when there's so much suffering everywhere? And then he says later he learned that the Buddha can smile because he knows how to be with suffering. He knows the suffering is there, but he knows how to be with it, both in himself and in the people around him. So Thich Nhat Hanh says, well, the word compassion, it's not the exact right thing, but it's just close enough and he can't find a better one, so we're just all sticking with compassion. And I think that's a fine thing. Our third Pali term is mudita, and it's mudita whether it's in Pali or in Sanskrit. And the original translators to English use the translation sympathetic joy. And I heard a wonderful explanation of this by a Theravadan teacher named Jan Shepherd. She said, the example is like this. You're in a workplace somewhere, and then there's an opportunity for a better job. I don't know, higher pay, better status, I'm not sure, a better job. And you have the qualifications and you apply for it. But this other person also applies for the job. And the other person was awarded that position. They got that job. So mudita is what you feel is so joyful, so happy for this other person that you feel that they called that sympathetic joy. And what I love about Jan Shepherd is she said, we don't have a word for that in the English language, this joy we feel for someone else. Of course, Thich Nhat Hanh's opinion is, he just likes joy better. Joy is for everybody. If you're being sympathetic to someone, you've got a separation between us. He says joy is for everyone. We shouldn't have that gulf. But myself, I find that when I'm feeling joy, I'm feeling it for myself. I just am. So it's a little harder to practice that other way. So the term that I like is shared joy. If I'm feeling shared joy, to me, it bridges the gap. I can be joyful in myself for someone else's happiness, for someone else's good fortune. So I made that up. I never read shared joy by anybody. I just made it up. I like it. It fits well for me in my practice with these qualities. Okay. So our fourth quality is upekkha in Pali, upekkha in Sanskrit. And it was originally translated as the word equanimity. If you read any of this in any Buddhist literature, you're going to see the word equanimity as the translation. And I understand that the root word of upekkha or upekkha is to look over. And it means like you've climbed to the top of a mountain ridge, and you look over, and you see both sides of the mountain ridge. And you are not bound in any way to either side. So if we think about what equanimity, at least what I always thought about it, was this sort of feeling of calm. Oh, I feel equanimity, I feel calm. And my teacher says, it's not just about feeling calm. It's not just about that. It's about leaving nothing out. Upekkha has the mark of wisdom of equality, the ability to see everyone as equal, not discriminating between ourselves and others. In a conflict, even though we are deeply concerned, we remain impartial, able to love and understand both sides. We shed all discrimination and prejudice and remove all boundaries between ourselves and others. As long as we see ourselves as the one who loves and the other as the one who is loved, as long as we value ourselves more than others or see ourselves as different from others, we do not have true equanimity. We have to become one with the other person to understand and truly love them. When that happens, there is no self and no other. And based on that kind of understanding, in his later years, Thich Nhat Hanh stopped using the term equanimity as one of the Brahma Viharas, and he chose the word inclusiveness. And to me, that makes a lot of sense, and that's harder to practice. It's a lot easier for me to just feel calm when I don't think about all that stuff, conflict of various kinds. But if I'm including that, can I still have that sense? I don't know, but I can practice with it. So these are practices. So just to summarize, I'll just ask Davy to put up the last slide. Our terms are metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha, and my English translation is kindness, compassion, shared joy, and inclusiveness. Thank you, Davy. So, how do we practice? How do we practice kindness? I invite each of you, as we just briefly look at these 4 terms, what is a way that you can practice? My personal recent practice is that my husband makes the coffee for himself. I don't drink coffee. Monday through Friday, he's in the kitchen before me, but he sleeps in on Saturday, Sunday, but I still get up. And so on Saturday and Sunday, I go down and make my tea, and then I prep the coffee maker for him. I don't push the button because who knows when he'll wake up, but I make it ready for him. So I offer that as a kindness. It is true. I find my husband has been a challenging person to be kind to at times. So I'm looking for how can I do it? I'm not saying these are necessarily easy, but that's a pretty simple step, and he really appreciated it. How do we practice compassion? Can you think of some way right now? I think it's really important to remember in our culture to practice compassion for yourself. Can you be with your suffering and hold it? Hold it like a loving parent holds their baby. Can you offer compassion? Just a suggestion. How do we practice shared joy? I don't even know. Can you think of something? That'd be good. Maybe it's something that has to be unexpected, and there it is in front of you, and then you see, can I feel joy for that person? Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. It kind of depends. I think about the news. Sometimes people are really excited about stuff that doesn't feel right to me. How do I practice then? And how do we practice inclusiveness? Being okay with everything. So here's my example of inclusiveness. I go back maybe 20 years. I go in the grocery store, and not every time, but more often than I like, there's a parent with one or more children, and the parent is angry, end of their rope. The child is almost always tired, but the parent is angry and yelling at the kid. And what my heart used to do was to leap to that child, and feel that child. And somewhere along the line, I learned to look for the suffering in the one who is angry, because that's always true. That's always true. And very strangely, I noticed maybe a year or two ago that when I'm in the grocery store and that event happens, because it happens now and again, my heart went to the adult to have compassion for their suffering, to include them in, I'm understanding both sides. I'm more even than I used to be. So I don't know how you can practice those things, but I invite you to try it, to think about it. Mm-hmm. So as I said, this isn't about true love, it's about true love. And Thich Nhat Hanh says, for true kindness to be true, it has to have the other three in it. For compassion to be true, it has to have the other three. For joy, it has to be the other three to be true joy. And the same for inclusiveness. He says, this is the interbeing nature of the four Brahma-viharas. This is the true nature of the four Brahma-viharas. Thank you for hearing me today. We have a lovely chant that we're going to practice together.